So let's talk about that. So when should you choose Force.com? What are the sort of apps that make good sense for it? Well, if you need relational data, if it's a data-driven application where you're collecting it and it's relational data, it's a good fit. Specifically, you'll often come across when you're migrating kind of spreadsheet or Access FileMaker database applications, it makes a great sense to migrate maybe that legacy thing to a Force.com application where you're collecting data, you're almost used to that grids and data entry format, and you want to be able to move that sort of data collection into a more collaborative environment. If you're used to that interface where, again, you're mainly doing data entry, you're reviewing data that might fit in a sort of grids or forms or wizard style, that's going to make a lot of sense in Force. So if you're doing things like you're tracking purchases or you're trying to do any sort of system where you're doing relationship management like maybe people or partners or you're planning events, that would make sense here. Anything that's, again, that's sort of task-based, where you do want to have collaborative experience, team-based activities, that makes a lot of sense in the Force.com app where you can have these users all working in one environment. If you've got those needs for very fine-grained security controls, now I want to not just be able to secure maybe the object called person or contact, but I also want to secure who can see individual records, or want to control who can see the fields on the record. If you have to have that sort of control, Force makes a great environment because you can do that all configurably without writing code. The reporting pieces, don't underrate that. It's very useful to have this report on transactional data. Sometimes that can be a whole separate project when you're building a custom application using a traditional application server and programming language. After you build your app, then you have to go back again and build reports. In this case, that all comes together, and if you've got a very significant reason to have reports in your application, Force really accelerates that. And really, one of the core things, if you've got this sort of frequently used, manually entered data, that's a great fit. It's not something where I'm going to necessarily do these monthly bulk loads of data, or I'm doing high performance computing. That really doesn't make a sense for this environment. I can go use another cloud and do Hadoop style processing for big data or things like that. So it's meant for a transactional data entry system that benefits from collaborative work with multiple team partners and has security and transactional report needs.